Welcome to the Raynin Threes podcast with Alan Ray and Mike O'Connell.
Hello and welcome to the 25th episode of the Raynin Threes podcast. I'm your host, Mike O'Connell, here with Villanova basketball legend, Alan Ray. Ray and I have a very special guest for all of you tonight, the two-time national champion, AP Coach of the Decade, and Naismith Basketball Hall of Famer, Jay Wright. Coach Wright, thank you so much for giving us some time to talk some ball tonight.
Michael, Ray, great to be with you guys, man. This is cool.
What's
Fan
up
of the podcast.
What's up, Coach? And look, was you in your house all day today?
Yes, I was, as a matter of fact.
How is that life now?
I'm prepared. We have so Saturday, tomorrow morning. I'm going up to New York. We have the CBS bracket preview show on Saturday. So I spent my day preparing, studying all these teams. It's a lot more boring, the preparation, Ray, than being on the court with you guys every day. You guys you kept it exciting. I'll tell you that. It wasn't just game day. You guys always kept it exciting.
Yeah, we definitely did, and that was the beauty of having us. You know, that was the beauty of having us. But I know it got to be so different from just everyday life, being a coach, running around, being in a locker room, and then now being a great analyst on CBS. How is it for you now with this transition? You know, how do you feel? Are you happy about it? Do you have closure now without coaching anymore? Like, how do you feel now in your transition now being an analyst?
Yeah, it's interesting, Ray. I don't miss the work of it. You know, the responsibility. It's mostly the responsibility. You know, I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders, and not a bad weight. You know, I took so much pride in our program, representing our school, the history, and you guys. You know, guys like you, Ray, and Randy and Kurt and Jason, and you guys that came in, it started our era. You know, you guys put in so much work and built it and built the foundation. I honestly felt like I could never let you guys down. I could never let the program slip based on what you did to get it started. And we would always tell our players that, you know, about playing for those who came before us. And that no one else was putting that pressure on me, but I put it on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it was every day. It was everything we did. You know, and I knew how much it meant to Villanova alumni. And, you know, even if I was out in public, I wanted to make sure I represented Villanova alumni. So it was that constant pressure. That's the part that I'm enjoying, the relief of not having that weight. I do miss the relationships with the guys every day, seeing the guys. But like, this is cool, right? Like, you know, being able to do this stuff with you, I would be too busy for that a lot when I was coaching.
Yeah, that's definitely true, Coach, and I appreciate you coming on tonight and joining us.
I'm loving it, man. I know you're doing a great job. You become a social media rock star, so I'm glad to be a part of it.
I honestly don't know how it happened. It just happened, Coach. Like, seriously, I don't know how it just happened.
You always had that charisma as a player, man. You were the smoothest, man. Always looked like you had everything under control. No one would ever. Great student, did well. Socially, you're always good. Great grades, great player. You always look like you had it together. So I guess people want to follow that, Ray.
You know, one thing with me, and especially like with the team, is like I always wanted to be liked. Like, I wanted to be liked by the guys. So I just wanted to just be somebody that they could have fun around and like have a positive experience around. So that was one of the big things with me. I just wanted to always make things comfortable, because basketball already alone by itself is already stressful enough. You go through a lot. So I just wanted to kind of be a little bit of relief from all of that.
You know what? You were great at that for our team. It drove me crazy sometimes because you wouldn't listen to me.
What about when Kyle came?
That was a whole nother level. But I had you, at least when Kyle came, I had you guys that would keep, by that time, you guys were mature and you could keep him under control. When you guys came in, I didn't have anybody to control you guys. You were doing your thing. I was trying by myself. But you, honestly, you always did a great job of that. You always, when it was basketball time, you were serious and committed, great work ethic, great competitor. But when basketball was over, you were always a clown, kept everybody loose, messed with everybody. I would say over our career, the two best guys at that were really good players. Like it's one thing to be the guy on the team that's the clown that keeps everybody loose if you're not a good player.
Yeah.
But it's hard to be a really good player and do that. I would say the two guys that did that the best were you and Phil Booth. Phil Booth was pretty good at that too.
Okay.
Yeah, Coach. So you talk about charisma, putting a lot of pressure on yourself. It reminds me of Coach Massimino a little bit. And aside from teaching you how to dress, what else did you learn from Coach Mass during your time as an assistant under Rollie?
Coach Mass, you guys aren't old enough, but he loved nice clothes. But once the game got going, he was a mess, man. He was crazy, ripping his tie off his coat. His hair was all over the place. And if anybody would say anything to him about that, he'd be like, "What are you talking about? My shoes are worth more than your house." He took so much pride in his clothes, loved his shoes because his dad was a shoemaker. But he was a great mentor to me, man. He was unbelievable. I got a great story. Our whole staff was Italian when I was there, and I just started the job, and we would go to an Italian restaurant every night. We'd go in. He'd know the owner, the chef, everybody.
Like the movies.
My whole staff, they're all Italian. We'd be there till 2 a.m. And after like a couple months, I said to him, "Coach, I'm not Italian, right?" He's like, "What? What do you mean you're not Italian?" He's like, "Why didn't you tell me you weren't Italian?" I said, "You never asked me." He's like, "How can you not be Italian? Look at you." He goes, "I would have never hired you if I didn't think you were Italian." Don't ever tell anybody you're not Italian. So all these years later, when he passed away a couple years ago, I did his eulogy at the chapel at Villanova. And in the eulogy, I said this story. So I said, I can finally admit, I'm not Italian. I'm allowed to say that now that he's passed away. And my son did one of those searches, you do your ancestry search.
Yeah.
Right.
And we do have Italian in us.
There we go.
I didn't even know. And I didn't even know it. So he knew it way back then. He hired me thinking I was Italian. I know he's up in heaven. He's proud. He's proud I got some Italian in me.
I can see what you mean with Coach Mass being a mess. I saw some commercials with him. I think it was Puma. I think he was doing a commercial with Puma. His hair was all over the place. But those shoes he had them nice and neat. They was looking good.
He did after he won the national championship in '85. Puma gave him a crazy sneaker contract, and back then people didn't do that, and they had Wildcats on the side of the sneaks, and he loved that, man. We'd all custom made shoes, but he was so excited to have his own shoe. He loved it, and the players didn't like the Puma. They wanted to wear Nike, and he didn't care. He had his own shoe.
Coach, how'd you get into coaching? A lot of guys get into coaching and, they just want to go along for the ride. But it seems like you had a whole different plan when it came to coaching. It seems like you had a plan. You knew what you wanted to do. You knew you wanted to build a program. Because the way you ran things at Villanova, I've seen a lot of different programs. I've come up in different programs, even playing professionally overseas. Like, our Villanova program was run much better than a lot of places. So, like, what got you into coaching, and where did that mindset come from about wanting to build a powerhouse program?
That's a great question, Ray, especially the way you said that. I really never wanted. I shouldn't say it. My plan wasn't to build a powerhouse program. My plan, as you know, and you're going to probably get sick of hearing this, but I just wanted our guys to graduate, become great men, and try to make them the best players they could be. And you know, in the end, you know, I wanted us just to compete every night. As you know, A-Ray, we said this all the time.
Yeah.
I just wanted our guys to play harder, more together, be smarter, and then take pride in our program. And then I thought, like, whatever comes of that, I'll take it. You know, I wanted our guys to graduate, and I wanted our guys to come back and say, you know what, I'm glad I got my degree. I know it wasn't easy, but I'm glad I played for you, coach. That's really all I wanted. And because when I came to Villanova, you know, we were good, but we weren't great. And Coach Mass had won a national championship in '85, and it was such an incredible upset. I didn't even think of winning national championships. I just thought I want to keep this tradition alive. I want everybody to be proud of the program. I want the guys in the program to really feel like I came here, I got better, I got my degree, and I grew into a man. That's really all I wanted. And it just kept but after I was in it for a while, I started realizing, like, wait a minute, we're getting some pretty good guys.
Yeah.
And when they get better, when they improve, they're really good. It was really your class, Ray. It was
Mm-hmm.
like, I was like, when they get, like, by the time you guys got to be juniors and we started winning that, it was really when we went to the Sweet 16 your junior year, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Because remember, we lost to Carolina by 1, and they went on to win the championship. And I thought to myself, whoa, 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 I was like, this shit's a little bit better than I thought. Like, these guys are really, really good.
Yeah.
And they can still get their degree. And I didn't even think then national championship. I thought we could get to a Final Four, but I didn't think of it until after you guys played Carolina in that game, and I thought we could have beat them. We lost by 1. And then I saw them go on to win it, and I was like, whoa, this might be a little bit better than I thought here.
Yeah.
And that's when I started really thinking about building something.
And it's like you also have, like, you got training in you. Like, you got your player development. That was real big when I was at school. I thought you did a great job of that. We always worked on all the fundamentals. We worked on all the details. I used to love doing form shooting in the beginning of practice when we come out. Like, that was like one of my favorite things to do, because it was probably one of the most effective things you can do. It was so small, but it helped with everything with our shot. Kyle's shot got better as the year progressed. So just want to say kudos to you about that, with the way you ran our program, the way you helped us get better year by year. Basically, it was day by day. You know, I just want to give you kudos for that.
Appreciate that,
The,
man.
the trainer.
That's what I really loved about coaching the most. Like, I loved being an assistant. And even when I was assistant on the Olympic team, it was different. Like, it's funny, like, when you're in the Olympics, you don't have there's no managers, Ray. Like, remember, we had all these
Yeah.
assistants. So we don't have, it was just me, Steve Kerr, and the assistant coach. He was the head coach of Atlanta Hawks at the time. Geez, I can't believe I'm blanking. He's assistant with the Pacers now. Blanking on his name, but we were the 3 assistants, and it was Popovich. So, at practice, when Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Damian Lillard, when they wanted to shoot after practice, we had the rebound for them. There was nobody else. There was nobody else with them, But I loved it. Even before every game, we had to go out on the court and go through their routines with them and rebound with them. But I loved that stuff. Like, I loved being an assistant. When you're a head coach, sometimes you don't get to do that as much. That trainer part, Ray, is what, when I was an assistant, like, that's what I did the most,
Mm-hmm.
and really loved it.
Who'd you learn it from?
That's a great question. You know who I used to do it with all the time when I was younger? Doug West. You remember Doug West and Gary Mass?
Yeah.
In my first year at Villanova, I was like 25 years old, so I could still play with those guys. So Doug West and I used to play one-on-one all the time, and I used to, like, tape his left hand because he used to flick his thumb. I used to tape his left thumb, make him play one-on-one with that. And then he went to the NBA, and he would come back in the off season, and he and I would work out. We'd play one-on-one all the time. and we would work on skills for him all the time. So that's probably where I kind of refined it. And then, other guys saw that we did that and they liked working out with me. But that's a good question, Ray. I don't think I learned that from anybody. I think I just, you know what? It was like basketball camps, like watching guys teach shooting, like Herb McGee and Hank Slider, these shooting instructors. I learned from them how to teach shooting. I really enjoyed doing that.
Imagine if you had TikTok right now, how much money you can make posting your workout videos.
I love your mind, Ray. I love that business mind, man.
Go ahead, OC, because I'm gonna be asking questions all day.
No, I love it, man. You're in the zone, and notice how he changed the subject when you brought up the 2005 game against Carolina, because A-Ray doesn't like talking about that because that was the phantom travel call at the end of regulation there, and that ended up costing the game. And
he got robbed. He got robbed. He made a great play.
I did.
What I was most proud about was how he handled it in the press. That was a big step for us because we hadn't been further than the Sweet 16 at that point.
Right.
And we really, A-Ray, for people that don't know, with, I don't know, like 30 seconds left, he made an M1, and the other ref was going to call an M1, and one ref called a travel, and we would have tied the game.
For sure.
And it ended the game. And as you go back and watch it on video, it was not a travel.
No.
It wasn't.
It was a based on out of bounds play, right? Hey, Ray, you shot faked and beat the guy and got to the rim?
Yeah. And they called the travel. I was so tight after that game, but I promise you, I was ready to play. I was ready for the season to start the next day. Like I was ready for the season to start the next day. Like I'm ready. I think I don't need no off season. Like let's get back into it tomorrow.
I think everything happens for a reason. I think God's got a plan for all of us. And as bad as that was, you just reminded me, A-Ray, because I forgot about that. You're right. I didn't have to do anything the next year to get you guys motivated to be one of the best teams in the country, all from start to finish all year, go to a Final Eight. It was, you guys just took it. And I forgot that's kind of what your motivation was, that you guys knew we were good enough that we could have won it.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody came back. Nowadays, none of you would have been back. Yeah. Everybody would have left everybody would have gone to the NBA at that year, or everybody would have got paid so much money, NIL money, somebody would have came in and got you guys. Nobody would have left after that team.
You remember? I don't know if you remember. Me and Randy came into your office. This is junior year in the summertime, and this is when they just announced a rule that we could test the waters, and we came in there, and we told you, he was like, Coach, we wanted to test the waters. You remember how that conversation went?
I don't think I was happy about it. To be honest, it was a different era. I don't think I was real happy about it.
No, I remember it just wasn't the best thing. It just wasn't what me and Randy wanted to hear. But it was a good decision because we came back and we had a good run. We had another good run.
Great. You both were All-Americans. Both of you were All-Americans. We had two All-Americans in our backcourt in the same year. That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And both wound up playing in the NBA the next year. Both of you. That backcourt. We have had great backcourts, but that backcourt. You'd have to say the backcourt. These guys would kill me, but you.
we was the least athletic backcourt.
It's three NBA players. Did we have? Well,
Dante was on that team.
I guess, but Dante didn't even start.
He didn't.
No.
You guys started. We had three, and you guys were All-Americans.
Bump wasn't letting that happen. Bump wasn't letting Dante start happening. Bump wasn't allowing that. Not at all, Coach.
it was it was, and the other thing was it started in Era. It's funny how, like, now I do these CBS games and I go out the day before and I go watch a team practice, and a lot of times the coach will ask me to talk to the team, and then some of the coaches will say, we play 3 guards or we play 4 guards. Like, this is the guy that started it. And I didn't start it, as you know. I mean, it was you, Randy, and Kyle, and Mike that year when Curtis got hurt.
Yeah.
And we really just tried it because Curtis went down. And man, after we did it in that 05 year, and I saw what that looked like, I was like, whoa, we got something here, man. These dudes can go.
Since we on recruiting right now, me, Randy, Jason, Curtis, like how did you pull that off?
That was unbelievable. Again, I think things happen for a reason. We were so lucky because I had just come from Hofstra. It was like the perfect storm. I came from Hofstra, and I didn't even try to recruit you because I knew you were going to be too good for Hofstra. But the guy on your team, I recruited Chris McCray.
Yep.
Chris McCray. I recruited him for Hofstra, so I was seeing you all the time. But I even spoke at your banquet, right?
Yeah.
Your high school banquet.
Yeah.
But not for you, because I just thought I was at Hofstra. Like, this dude's not coming to Hofstra. He's too good. But I knew who you were. And then Jason Frazier was on Long Island right by our school. So I was recruiting him just for the hell of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was recruiting Curtis because he was in New York. Randy, I didn't know, but Freddie Hill was at Seton Hall. He was recruiting Randy. And Joe Jones was at Villanova recruiting all of you. So then we all came together, and you got us started, A-Ray. You were the first one. Remember, you were out in Vegas? Probably now, look back on it, it was probably a violation. I'll probably get in trouble for it. But remember something really bad happened to you. You were in the hospital.
My lung. I got a punctured lung because I got hit during the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I felt so bad. I was like, because I had known you, again, not thinking I was recruiting you, but I knew you was watching you since you were 9th grade. I was like, oh my God, this poor kid. So I just stopped by the hospital. Said, by that point, we were recruiting you. I was at Villanova. And then I think you came back from that and thought, like, all right, man, I might have a punctured lung. Nobody else might want me. I'll go with Jay. I think that's how we got you.
Now, I remember that, Coach. I remember. I remember. I'm like, man, this dude came all the way to the hospital. Like, he's in the hospital with me right now.
Probably should have done that, man. I actually went to the hospital to see your coach to see if you were okay.
Yeah.
Because we were all watching. And then you know him, Gary. He's like, just say hello to him. I'm like, I can't. He goes, go ahead and say hello. I was like, oh man. I probably would have gotten in trouble for that, but it was innocent.
Exactly. And you were having A-Ray call Randy and be like, hey, you got to come to Villanova and play with me, right? Because A-Ray loves telling that story.
It did. It's kind of started the dominoes because they all respected A-Ray. And I think the next one was Curtis, because Curtis and A-Ray played against each other in the Catholic League. And Curtis was the player of the year in the Catholic League, which Alan and him used to argue about all the time. So Curtis was the player of the year, but Curtis really respected A-Ray. So when A-Ray committed, Curtis committed, and then Randy Foy was like, yo, Randy Foy is kind of like the Jersey guy, not as highly touted at the time as A-Ray and Curtis. He was like, well, they're getting those guys. And he came. And then Jason was just Jason. That was a circus, that recruiting, man. Not by his fault, just that he was just so highly touted. He visited Louisville and North Carolina.
Jay Wright was out, Coach. He was out after freshman year. He was gone. Yes. He was gone. If he didn't get hurt, he probably was going. He was going to be gone. I've never seen anybody catch a rebound and fling it up the court like Jason Frazier.
It's so true. People wouldn't actually remember back then. He could have gone out of high school,
Yeah.
and he kind of shocked us all that he was going to go to college for a year. And I never asked him this, but I wonder if he did it because he knew his knees were bad and he knew he needed to get his degree, because we
Yeah.
found out later that like in practice in high school, he missed a lot of practice because of his knees, but they did a good job hiding that. No one knew it.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. He never said that to us either.
We didn't know that. And I would, when I was recruiting him, I would go there, and if I go there, he'd practice. But they told me like the other days they'd hold him out. But athletically, and like you said, A-Ray, throwing outlet passes, man, when he could play and he was healthy, he was incredible. He would have been an amazing pro.
Yeah. And me and you talked about recruiting like briefly a couple of days ago, and you mentioned to me that recruiting now is kind of like free agency. What did you mean by that? And how is it different from when back into our time in the Stone Age?
Well, even though back in your days, like you guys were so good, you wanted to be NBA players, but your parents wanted that for you too, but they wanted you to get your degree. So they were looking at a school based on, okay, where can my son, have a great basketball career and get coached, but also get a valuable degree. And that's another thing I learned, A-Ray, about recruiting after you guys left, because you were our first class, but we slipped a little bit after you guys, and then we realized as good as you guys were, and you guys were great players, as I said, you guys all played in the NBA, but your parents and the people around you, when you were young and didn't really want to be coached like most young guys, your parents were like making you stick with it, listen to the coaches, even though they didn't agree all the time, but be respectful of coaching. That's what allowed you to get better. We didn't realize it at the time until then. A couple of years later, we didn't have the same kind of support. And we said, like, all right, from now on, we're going to get guys. That's really what made Alan Ray, Randy Foy, Curtis Sumter, Jason Frazier. That's really what made those guys great, was that the people around them, they didn't agree with us all the time, but they respected coaching and said, stick with the coaches. Now, people are coming in, they're looking at it like free agency, where, right, let me see your roster. Where is he going to fit in now? How much money is he going to make now? And then we'll decide if this playing time and this money fits, like a free agent would. Like they might like the school, but if the roster doesn't fit, they don't care. They're not saying, okay, we'll go there and get our degree. If we got to wait a couple years till we play good. No, the top players aren't looking at it like that anymore.
Yeah, Coach, that 2006 team was the best team in the country, along with UConn and Duke, probably the entire year, up until that Final Eight, losing to another eventual champion in Florida. Can you tell us a little bit about playing in that old Big East, going to some crazy hostile environments when you guys went to UConn when they were ranked top 5, Louisville, Pitt, West Virginia, like just some of those environments? Can you walk us through what your guys' mindset was and how the guys were able to handle it?
It was incredible. And as good as it's actually starting to get that way a little bit now. It hasn't been for a long time because guys are staying in college. Because back then, the great player, like, as I said, Randy was like the 7th pick in the draft. Allen got signed immediately out of college by the Celtics. They played 4 years. There's been a while where those guys just don't do that, haven't done that for a while, but now they're starting to do it again, and it's making college basketball good again.
We had Melo. Melo did that when we was at Nova during my time. He was just one and done. He was like the rare case. It wasn't too many one and dones back then.
Exactly. And now that's why you see teams like the coach at Ohio State just got fired, and he's got great sophomores on that team. They're going to be really good. He's got a great sophomore class, but Chris Holtman was trying to build a program, but they're playing against now seniors, graduate seniors, are still COVID seniors are still playing, guys 23 years old. You can't win with those guys anymore. And that happened with us, with Alan and Randy and Curtis and Jason. When they were freshmen and sophomores, we were good. Their sophomore year, we were ranked number 2 in the country preseason. But as we got going in the season playing against those old heads at Pitt was brutal back then, man. They were beasts.
Just
Syracuse
team full of
old
veterans.
dudes. Yeah, and UConn would have like these big guys that would redshirt, and they'd have like 5 of them, and they'd stay for 3-4 years, and they just pound you. And you got these little sophomores who were really good, but we would just get beat up. And then when we got to the juniors, we started to be those guys, you know? It was funny, when Kyle Lowry just got traded to the Hornets, you know, it was a little tough couple of days there because he had to go in and do he had to get a physical and go through some things, clear waivers and stuff like that. And he and I were texting. I was just making sure he's okay. And I was coming home from doing the Iowa State-Kansas game, and I'm on a plane, and he texts me, "This is what I'm doing right now." And he sent me a copy of the 2006 Villanova at Louisville game. And it was Louisville's first. He was watching that game. It was Louisville's first Big East game, and we had to go there at Louisville, Rick Pitino's first Big East game ever, and we were like top 5 in the country or something. Man, so I'm on a plane, so I'm like, oh, I'm watching this. So I watched it all the way home, and Ray, I don't know if he hit you. Did Kyle hit you?
No, I had talked to him maybe like a day or 2 after he got traded. I FaceTime with him, and this dude is on the treadmill running.
Oh, he's a worker now, man. But
yeah,
as we know, back in the day, whoo. But he and I were texting back and forth about you because I'm watching this game, and I text Kyle. I'm like, I knew Allen was crazy, but holy shit, what he did in this game was crazy. You were taking the wildest shots, and you'd take a shot. I'm watching. This is all these years later. I'm watching. Like, what is he doing?
Coach Wright, I do the same thing.
Crazy. And then the next time down, he'd do it again. I'd be like, what is he doing? Oh my God, what a shot! You drill a 3. It was unbelievable. And I'm texting Kyle. I'm like, all these years later, I'm like, I never realized Allen was wild, and he hit big time shots. And Kyle's hitting me back. He's texting. He's like, we didn't know what he was going to do, and our opponents didn't know what they do, and they were scared to death of him. I was like, you're right. You got to have a guy like that. You were our guy.
I look back.
Unbelievable shots in that game.
I look back at my percentage, and I'm like, wow, I shot 37% because I know some of the shots I used to. I do the same thing. I watch the games, and I'd be like, damn. I'd be like, damn. I don't know how I'm not on the bench after that shot right there.
we would be like, we were good. We were really good. And Jay Frey, it was like Jason Frazier were talking about. He was healthy that game. He was a monster.
Mm-hmm.
But Louisville, we're playing at what was the old place they used to play at? There was a famous. They had Final Fours in there.
What's the name of it, OC?
They're in the Yum Center now, but
yeah, KFC Yum Center. Let's see.
That's where they play now. But it was the other place they used to have Final Fours. It was old. That place.
I know you're talking about.
Packed. And they were so excited to be in the Big East. And they'd make a run at us, and A-Ray would come down and hit a crazy shot, and the whole place would just go silent. And then we'd come down, get a stop. It was a big time win because they were good.
Just sink the heart out the opponent.
Hard up for that game.
Is that when Kyle got that steal and he took that one dribble and got all the way to the rim, got an and one on the up and under? It was in the beginning of the game. It happened.
It definitely could have been. You, Randy, and Kyle were unbelievable in that game. And Jason Frazier was a beast, like what we all hoped he would be.
Yeah.
Like he would have a game or 2 like that and then get hurt. You know, his knee would give out and he couldn't play for a couple. But I was watching that game going like, I knew we were good, but wow. It was impressive, man.
Yeah.
But Kyle and I were having a great fun time. I can't believe he didn't hit you because we were going back and forth laughing about you, man. It was so funny.
Nah, he probably forgot, but he always be hitting me and like be teasing me and stuff like that. But me and Kyle, we talk a lot. I talked to Rand too. Nards, everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah, I talked to
Awesome. I
everybody.
love that.
I told you, Coach. I just try to be that guy for everybody.
I love that, man. I love that. And how about
Yeah,
our
Coach.
boy Randy Foy is the president of the collective. He's
Yeah,
doing an incredible job.
big man things. Shout out to Randy Foy. It's my brother.
He's
And-
impressive, dude.
And Coach, you mentioned Phil Booth earlier too, and we had him on the show. He was great, but his similarities with A-Ray, and
Oh.
he said Coach Wright pushes certain players to do things they don't think they can do. Can you give us some examples of times where you would do that, where you would push your guys to see if you can get something extra out of them?
I really, it's different when you look back on it now, and I just like I was watching A-Ray in a game and he was crazy, and I look back on it now and like I was a little crazy, but I would look at a guy, and I just knew, if I recruited a guy, when I would recruit a guy, like I'd fall in love with him. I'd be like, I'd look at him and say like he's really good, but if he came with us, he could be so good, like and like with A-Ray. He was by far our best shooter. Like we'd have a rule with the assistant coaches. I would tell the coaches, like, if we go 3 or 4 possessions and don't get him a shot, tell me.
Yeah.
We just needed. You knew he'd make a high percentage, but you also knew the opponent feared him, and you had to keep going to him because it stretched the defense because they didn't want him to get threes. But I really thought, because of his length and his quickness and his speed, I thought he could be like defensive player of the year. He wasn't as interested in that when he was playing for us. He and I would battle. He would back because he would just think, look, I give up a basket, I'm just going to go score. I'll just go score on him. And he was right, but I wanted him to be the best. Like I wanted him to be the best offensive player. Because I always thought, like, if you're that good offensively that they can't guard you and you're that quick and that athletic, if they can't guard you, then you should be able to guard them.
Yeah.
You should be able to guard anybody. So that was our little battle with Avery. I made him stay one time in practice. We got the defensive drill. I made him get like a certain number of stops in a row, and he was mad. I made him do it, and I kept making him do it. And it went on in practice for like 15, 20 minutes, and he got pissed at me. And then I got pissed at him, threw him out of practice. I was a legendary AD. I was a legendary A-Ray defensive drill. But then he'd come back the next day, he'd be great.
Yeah, that's when Coach Pinckney got me off the court and escorted me into the locker room. But at that time, I didn't really understand like the effort you needed on defense. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a different type of effort that's needed to be a good defender. You could squeak by sometimes, but if you really wanted to be a good defender, like it was a certain amount of effort. So I could tell you that right now. I didn't always play with that effort all the time. I didn't understand it, but I do now. And when I was playing professionally, I definitely did understand it.
You know what's interesting about that, A?
Yeah.
You guys didn't have – you were the first class. So it was just me getting on you guys and pushing you guys. You didn't have somebody ahead of you to see them do it to you every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt like, remember we would practice and we had Dante Cunningham and Dwayne Anderson. You guys were seniors then, right?
Yeah.
And you guys used to just torch them.
Mm-hmm.
And Shane Clark, and you guys would just kill them. And by the time you guys got to be seniors, you would really defend hard and physical, and you'd kill them.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, these guys are either gonna like quit and leave here because they're getting torched, or they're gonna be really good because they're seeing what I'm asking them to do. They're seeing these guys do it, and they're doing it to them. And you guys never had that because you were the first class. There was no one ahead of you.
Yeah.
And I always felt like those guys were the first group that took us to a Final Four, but it was really you guys showing them and teaching them how to do it, and them feeling it, and it's what made them the players they were. And then that's what we kept going. Like the older guys always beat on the younger guys and really taught them and took responsibility for that.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Coach, do you think that has any effect on this year's team? Because we got some transfers that came in and, I hate saying that they don't know the Villanova way, but obviously it's adjustment and they have to learn it. So guys like Mark Armstrong really doesn't have somebody to really show him the way. Like, do you think that's something that's going on this year with this year's team?
Definitely. And it's nobody's fault. And that's what I hope like our Villanova people can appreciate. It's going to take Kyle some time to get guys in there. Like if Brendan Howson gets it, like he was kind of like that in high school. He gets it.
Amazing.
So if he comes back and then he's teaching the younger guys and the other guys that come back understand what it is. But when you come in as a transfer, it's not that you don't want to do it. Like when you were a freshman, sophomore, you wanted to do it. You just didn't understand it. You said it perfectly. The intensity level yet. And like if Justin Moore would have been healthy this year and he was in practice every day and he was kicking Mark Armstrong's butt every day, doing all the things that we teach, Mark Armstrong would be like, wow, like this dude's really good.
Yeah.
And this is why he's really good. But like Justin can't practice a lot and missed a lot because he was hurt. So Mark Armstrong's having some success in practice and thinking, well, why do I have to do this stuff? I'm pretty good right now,
Yeah.
And then you get to games and the real good teams, Connecticut's, Marquette's, they're doing that stuff to you. So you learn by getting beat. And we did that when you were young, Ray. Like we got beat and you guys learned.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you about that too. Like, what would you say to people out there, that don't understand this process? We went through this, Coach. We had a downtime when you first got here. And, I think people just don't understand that it's a process and things just don't happen right away.
That's a great point. And the difference is when we all did this together, we weren't coming off NCAA tournaments and Final Fours, and people didn't, and they had more patience with us.
Yeah.
But I hope that Villanova people would understand the patience has to come from we got transfers in. They're good guys. Like they respect Villanova. They respect the Villanova community. We didn't bring in guys that were like bad dudes that were like, I don't care about this place. I'm just going to come in, get mine, and go to the NBA. Like they're good guys, and they're trying to learn it. And we got to be patient, and it might take another year. But what it's about is they're good students, they're good guys. They believe in the Villanova culture, and we've got to dare to be different than all these other schools. Just blowing everything up, bringing in all transfers.
Guys spending money.
Yeah, one guy comes in, one guy leaves. Like we got to keep our guys around. Let Kyle build his culture, continue this culture, and what I really respect about this team this year is like they don't quit, man. They keep playing. They battle. Like that Xavier game, there was so many times on the road they could have given in on that game, never did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what we appreciate at Villanova, that you never give up. You battle, you compete every possession, and you take pride in wearing that Villanova jersey, and you respect the guys that came before you. And I think those guys do.
They do, Coach, Coach, and I agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coach, when you're watching these games, do you sit back and enjoy watching them, or are you watching them as a coach? And if you were still there on the sideline, is it tough to watch it leisurely?
Yeah, it is. I go to weeknight games at home. I go to weekends. I'm doing CBS, and I talk to Kyle all the time, and I'll pop in once a week for practice, just pop in, say hello. So I'm trying to balance between, Kyle and I talk a lot, and I still talk to some of the older guys on the team, text with them. But honestly, it is torture. Even when we win, it is torture for me. I never realized that. I got two things going. My son's a head high school basketball coach, and watching Villanova games, they're like my sons. Kyle's like my younger brother. It kills me. I never thought it was going to affect me like this. I'm dying, man. And if I'm at the game, I got to act like I'm not, but I am dying.
I would be too if I was you, Coach.
Oh,
One more question. I gotta ask you about Jalen and Josh. Like these two guys, they're like comedians. Like together, they're a knockout punch. How were they when you were coaching them?
Josh was like you, Ray, just like you.
That's what I thought you said. That's what I thought you was gonna compare me to, about like being a clown type.
Phil
I was hoping it was Josh.
Phil was like in my mind because he came after him. He was our late, because we really haven't had anybody since Phil that was like that, that was really good and was a clown. But yeah. Josh was before him. Okay. And Josh was classic. Like that dude, he's really smart. He went to Sidwell Friends in DC. He's really smart. So he knows exactly what he's doing. Like I just texted both of them and said, like, yeah, I just want you, I can't respond to all these people texting me, calling me for responses to crazy shit that you say on a podcast. Like I get all these media people like, well, what'd you think about this? Did they really do this thing? I'm like, I can't respond to all this. So, but this one guy from the New York Post told me, like, Josh is such a clown. He came in after one game and something happened in the game. He came into the locker room and all the media were in there. He's like, I demand a trade. I want to get traded. And the guy's like, he's such a clown. Like he said it seriously, but we all know it's Josh Hart. Like we're not even going to take it. If anybody else said that, that would have been a great story. He's like, we all know he's going to come up with something funny about that, and only he could get away with it. And then Jalen likes to play the straight man off him. And if I have the four of them in a text, I'll always text like, all right, guys, I'm talking about something. And I said, make sure Josh reads this because he doesn't respond, because they'll hit me right away. He's like 50-50. And then he'll text me back like, Coach, I will respond, but I'm really worried about Arch since they guaranteed his contract. His head's getting really big. And I think Jalen now is an all-star, has lost control of his humility. You know, he's like, it's never what you want to talk about. It's never serious. He's a clown. But when it's time to compete, there's nobody to compete like him.
I love his motor. Up and down the court. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, Coach, if it's Jalen, Josh, Dante, if Ryan was still there, and Mikal on the Knicks, I mean, how do you not want to coach them just a little bit, at least for one game?
Yeah, Coach. Like, how do you don't want to coach the Knicks? Like people were wondering.
They got a great coach, and I'm enjoying this. I honestly, God, I'm enjoying this. Like Abraham and I would text, we talk when he comes around, but you don't have the time. Now I got the time to hang with guys, and spend time with former players, and I'm really enjoying it. And I miss that. Like early when we first started, I could hang out with you guys more. Then when it got bigger and we got more successful, it was just harder. There was so much to do. So I'm enjoying just being a regular person, be able to hang with our guys. And
we got bigger, or you got bigger. That's why we couldn't hang around.
The whole thing got big. The whole thing just got too big. The whole thing, not too big, it just got big.
As soon as you got that Range Rover, Coach, we lost access to you.
Hey, Coach, last one for me. My family would kill me if I didn't ask you this. 2016 second round, You guys beat Iowa, who was a really good team. They were ranked in the top 5. Everyone was kind of picking them to win. We had finally gotten out of that first weekend, right? Go to the Sweet 16. We kicked the crap out of them at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. You come into the locker room. There's a video of you, and you're totally psyched out of your mind. You give this awesome fist bump. Can you just take us back to that moment in time where you were just so fired up to be moving on?
Well, as you remember, the couple years before that, we lost in the second round, and we were number 1 seed the year before that, and we lost to NC State.
Right.
And our guys were getting criticized, and I felt so bad for them. And I would the year before that, and A-Ray, you know how much this means to me in our program. We were playing NC State in that game, that 1-8 game, and we're supposed to win, and we're fighting back. And Javon Pinkston, who was a handful, but a great, loyal guy, we're going down the stretch, and it's a tight game, and he's in the huddle, and he's going, just keep playing Villanova basketball. Just play Villanova basketball to the last second. And, that's what we're all about. That's all we ever wanted to do. And they were such great guys, and they were a great team. And that team won the most games of anybody up until that point. And yet they're getting criticized, now that most of them come back the next year, and everyone's like, I don't care what they do. They got to get paired. I think we won the Big East tournament. I think we won the Big East championship. Everyone's like, I don't care. They got to get past the second round or they're bums,
Yeah.
So I was just so happy for them. And you're right. Everybody going to that game, everybody was nervous, but no one was talking about it. Even our president told me later, he's like, I was nervous. I didn't want to listen to the alumni. I don't want to listen to the alumni killing me again, telling me I got to get rid of you because we can't get past the second round. So I was so relieved for everybody, especially the players. And everybody was nervous except the players. They went out and they jumped on Iowa, and they were so confident. Remember, Arch took like a 40-foot. We were up like 20 towards the end of the half, and Arch took like a 40-footer. I was killing them coming off the court. I'm like, what? They were just so confident. They were so amped and so confident. They were awesome. So I was so proud of them and so happy for them. And everybody, I was happy for everybody because all Villanova people were tired of losing in the second round. People that were supporting us were tired of supporting us because we kept losing in the second round. People that hated us were tired of criticizing us. Everybody was just tired of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's safe to say you guys certainly made up for those 2 losses in the second round there. But man, I had to ask that one because it's an iconic moment. I feel like it's like a gift that everyone loves to use of you doing the fist bump. Jalen Brunson's all fired up. You guys it's awesome.
That's like the only time I ever did that, really. Even
exactly.
And stuff like that really is.
Exactly. Oh man. So Coach Wright, we really appreciate you hopping on Raynin Threes with Alan and I. We've had an absolute blast. Seriously, thank you so much.
Love hanging with you guys, man. Proud of you. Hey, Ray, proud of you, Mike. It's a great job on this. People love it.
Appreciate you, Coach. Thank you for coming on, and we got to do it again. I can still talk for another hour.
Man, great being with you guys.
Jay Wright, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Ray, I mean, talk about some of the best guests that we've had on, former players, former coaches, analysts. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, GQJ in our midst. Just chopped it up with him for about an hour, man. That was a ton of fun. And really just appreciate Coach Wright joining us and really just not holding anything back, man. That was great.
It was, like you said, the man, the myth, the legend joined us on the podcast. It was great. It was a great feeling having him on there. And like you said, he didn't hold back. We asked him about this year's team and how he felt. And, we even talked about that one little problem, which was, the leadership with guys in the leadership role, the older guys, them being transfers and not being brought up in the Villanova system, like through recruiting and stuff like that. So I think that's something that's real important for people who listen to this to take note of and take into consideration. And then he preached patience, and it's not going to happen right away, which basically we all been saying for a long time. But it just is what it is, and people just have to accept it. How you feel, OC?
No, that's exactly right. And he mentioned Justin Moore's health being a major
True.
factor of that as well. And that's the problem, right? You know, J-Mo isn't able to get out there and give Mark and Brendan and all the other guards the business for, you know, an entire practice every day just because he can't do it. He just doesn't have his legs under him like he used to. And Eric, you know, he's a great leader, but he plays a different position. You know,
You
he's in
do.
the front court, and it's unfortunate that Nana Njoku had season-ending surgery. I thought that he was going to take some strides this season. You know, we saw he already did in the early stages in the non-conference when he played well against North Carolina and gave us some key minutes there. But Lance Ware, Tyler Burton, TJ Bamba, you know, Hakeem Hart, these guys are Villanova basketball type guys. They are, but they haven't been here long enough to really work and grow and progress year after year after year, which is what we're so used to when it comes to success in this program. He mentioned it. Coach Wright mentioned it. You guys started that. You were the first to have the guys underneath you work up to the point from getting their ass kicked in practice by you guys every single day. And that obviously worked because that 2009 team that went through hell every day, getting bodied by you, Kyle, Mike, Bump, it really paid dividends because they went to the Final Four in 2009 with Shane Clark, Reggie Redding, Dwayne Anderson, some junkyard dogs that were veterans, seasoned veterans, and would just, you know, beat the crap out of each other in practice, man. That was the name of the game. And just to go through the timeline of the early stages of Coach Wright, starting with Coach Massimino, talking about his time at Hofstra, into then recruiting you, Jay Frey, Curtis, and Randy. Oh man, it was incredible. So I'm hoping that our listeners and our viewers enjoy this as much as I have. It's been unbelievable.
No, definitely. There's a lot of gems in here. It's a real good,
Yeah.
genuine conversation for a lot of people out there who've never had a conversation with Coach. Like you get to see how he is off camera. Like that's classic Coach Wright, joking around, laughing, and you don't really get to see all of that on TV all the time. So it's really good. And he said a lot of things about Villanova, which you can take. Like I said, he was dropping them gems. So it's really good episode that you could get a lot from, and especially if you're a Villanova fan, like this one has got to be up there for you.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what we do here at Rain in Threes, Ray. We bring this type of content to Big East fans, to college basketball fans in general, but especially Villanova fans. I mean, how could you not want to tune in and listen to an old teammate, one of the OGs of the program under Jay Wright, and Alan Ray, and his old coach just chopping it up for an hour, man. It was a pleasure just to honestly just be witness to it and be able to chime in here and there. I had a lot of fun, man, and hey, we've got a lot of work to do moving forward. We're about to get really busy heading into Big East tournament time. We're hoping Villanova can kind of put together some wins and continue to pique our interest because it's right there for the taking, Ray. We've got Georgetown coming up, Butler, a trip to UConn, and if a couple things go our way, we could be patiently waiting on Selection Sunday, hoping that we'll hear our name called. So that's the name of the game moving forward down the stretch here as we turn the clock from February into March. So it's going to be fun, and just want to say really appreciate you, Ray, our guy Nick McGow, Slick Nick at night doing his thing behind the glass, making sure the show is on the rails. And it's just been a lot of fun, and I'm honored to be here with you guys again tonight.
Georgetown, that's who we got next. Next time we
right.
hop on this microphone, I do not want to be sitting here talking about us losing to Georgetown. I don't.
Not gonna happen, Ray.
All right.
Not gonna happen.
Let's do it.
We're gonna take it to Ed Cooley and those Hoyas, man. Don't worry. I have a good feeling about that. We just played our best game of the season, at least in a long time, against Seton Hall on Sunday, man, beating them 80-54. That was a ton of fun to watch. And I'm sensing that this team is starting to put it together at the right time. And I really think Coach Wright even mentioned it. Brendan Housen, the guy is really starting to step up. He gets it. And I feel like if he's going to continue to knock down shots, we're going to see a lot of success moving forward with him, Eric Dixon, TJ Bamba, and a little help from some slashers on the wing. I think we'll be able to get enough wins, get in that 18-19 range to wind up playing in the big dance, man. So I'm fired up. I could go on for another hour. Like
Yeah,
we
you
said, we
hyped
could go on
today.
with
You
Coach
hyped
Wright
today,
for another
OC.
hour. Yeah, and I'm sick too, man. I'm under the weather, so I'm geeked up right now, man. Seriously.
Okay. This is my son FaceTiming me right now. Should I take
Yeah,
this on air?
be like, yo, I was just talking with Coach Wright. Yeah, why not?
All right. Let me see. What's up, A-Ray? Huh? Did I just start? Nah, I'm almost finished. What you doing? Yeah, I'm literally recording right now and like everybody hear you.
That's good.
What's up, man?
All right. Later.
I love it. I would have been cool if Jay was on for that. Like, yo, Coach Wright, say what's up. Say what's up.
My son would have been like
Next generation.
exactly. My son would have been putting in his pitch to come to Villanova. That's exactly what he would have did.
That's great, man. That's great. Well, hey, A-Ray, appreciate you, my friend. It's been a blast. Moving forward, we got a lot of great work, a lot of great more guests to bring to Raynin Threes, man. It's been a lot of fun tonight. So shout out to Coach Wright. Thank you so much for taking the time to join Raynin Threes. So with Alan Ray, I'm your host, Mike O'Connell. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the latest edition of Raynin Threes, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Peace out.